What is up, guys? What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm George Mossey. It's the George Mossey Show. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about this episode of The Other Way that aired. And we're gonna talk about I Love a Mama's Boy too. So we got some more Corona and Inky, and we're gonna get into that. We're gonna wait for um Gina to come in so we can get started. But yeah, we're gonna get into this episode. It was a shorter episode, so we're gonna try to break this down and get this episode figured out. Oh wait, Gina's here. Pieces are beautiful. Oh, I love your name. That's beautiful. Get Gina in here. I think I accepted. How's everybody doing? It's Monday. How's your Mondays going, everybody? Hey,
Hello.
how's your Monday?
It's Monday. House is not flooded, so it's good.
It's still flooded?
No, my house is not flooded, but there's a lot of flooding. You saw. I sent you pictures
Yeah, I
of
saw. Oh, that's crazy. It's bad because you got more flooding than we did, and we had a hurricane.
Yeah.
That was horrible. Like I thought it was winter. Why is it raining?
It's fall. Whatever I
Oh, it's
told you,
fall.
they don't clean the street cleaners don't clean the streets. Only once a year.
That's scary. That's really scary. I can't swim, so the idea of like high water is like my worst nightmare.
And
So
we have
like when
like
you
mountains. We have mountains, so a lot of that
that's,
debris,
that's so scary. That's so scary. So we're gonna get into The Other Way, and then maybe if we have time, we'll talk about the Love of Mama's Boy. But we're gonna get into The Other Way because we got some scenes with Inky and Corona tonight, and I wanted to get into that because she wanted to talk about the situation with him talking to other girls, right? So she brought up tonight that she's not on his social media, and I wanted to get your opinion on that because if you're in a relationship with someone, you should have them on your social media because you're not hiding anything, right? So if somebody, because remember, Shekinah and Sarper were going through this earlier in the season, or maybe that was last season they were on. He didn't want to post her on his social media. Do you remember that? Like he didn't want her picture anywhere near his social media, and that's fishy to me. You know, like if you're in a committed relationship, people should know you're in a committed relationship because Corona's thoughts were, well, what if he was going out on the weekends and actually talking to other women, right? Like in presenting himself as a single man. And when you're on social media and you present yourself as a single man and you're in a relationship, I think that that's kind of shady. You know, like I think that if you're going to be in a relationship and you're monogamous, I mean, I guess that's a weird word to use because people are so open to these, like some people have open relationships or whatever, but if you are dating someone, you should at least claim them. And you know, like she kind of said, she was like, you should post a picture of me so all of the women on your page know that you're not just open for business, you know. So I felt like, but again, I feel like Corona is in Iceland and she's in a relationship, and I kind of feel like she's in a one-sided relationship because I really don't feel like Inky's in a relationship with her. I feel like this is just something that he's doing for fun because he was like, oh, I don't want to get married. Marriage isn't a real thing here. And then her counter was, your brother's married, your parents are married, like everyone around you is married. So I really just feel like this is something that, if this is even a real relationship, which I don't believe, but I don't feel like this is something that he ever was going to take seriously.
I honestly think that with everything that has transpired, like what was going on with it, he doesn't want a relationship. He basically made that clear, but yet she sent him the picture of what kind of ring she wanted. So I don't know, they're kind of wishy-washy at the end of the day. Like she knows what she wants. He doesn't know what he wants. But didn't they say everyone in Iceland's related? So the females that he was talking to at the club or at the bar are technically his cousins or some sort of there's some sort of
Well,
relation there.
yeah, some somewhere down the
Yeah.
line, they're related in some way. I mean, I just think that her intentions were never clear of what she wanted because remember she used soft partnering. So she never actually told him what she wanted or what made her upset. She shielded him. And then when she got to Iceland, she was like, you should take this more seriously. I gave up my career for you. And he's like, why would you do that? You know, like, well, what would possess you to give up your career for me? Why would you think that your career is not as important as this relationship? Because I don't blame him. I think they've only known each other for 5 months. If
Yes.
this is a real relationship, what's the purpose of him proposing to her or saying we should get married? No, that's crazy. They literally haven't had sex. I think she said 4 times in a year, and then she said that she broke his penis. And I don't know if that's a thing. You know what's really odd? So last night I was watching
That's
Sex.
Lauren. Lauren would know.
Well, I know Lauren would definitely understand this better, but I was watching Sex Sent Me to the ER. It's some show
I've
on TV, and
heard. I've
somebody.
seen some episodes.
Okay,
It's like,
so you know what I'm talking about. So really weird. Last night I was watching it randomly while I was editing videos, and somebody said that they broke their penis on the show. So when they said this tonight, it was really funny because I was like, oh wait, I just saw a show, and this guy, he had to get like stitches, like, so it was like bad, like, and then the nurse said that they didn't think he was going to be able to have a kid anymore, like it was serious. So I was like, I didn't even know that you could break it. Now that's like, you know, the new fear unlocked. It's like now I have this new fear unlocked. Now I'm like, oh my god, what if it breaks? Like, now what are we gonna do now? Like, I'm so scared now.
I don't know. You would think after this long it would have likely healed by now, but I guess it depends on doctor's orders, right? So, but there are other
Well,
things that you can do at the same time. Instead, in lieu
well,
of.
that's what Corona was saying. She's like, he has fingers, he has a mouth, he has hands. So, you know, the lack of intimacy, I think it's a dead giveaway that he's not as serious as you think he is towards you.
Yeah, I just don't think he has any, like, oh, she's here, great. Like, I don't think he has any actual attraction to her, because if he did, it would be a different story. Because even if by doctor's orders he would say, I can't like, I can't do
Do you
anything like that, but I can do other things. So obviously I don't think he's attracted to her, because if he was, he wouldn't bang her, but he would do other things.
Well, do you think that he's unattracted? Okay, so you know how there's this weird phenomenon where the more available and open and accessible you are to people, the less people want you. Do you feel like she makes herself too accessible? She's too easy. She flew over there. She gave up everything. She threw away her whole life for him. Do you think that that's a turnoff? Because I've heard people say the more you do for someone or the more you make yourself available to someone, the less likely that they're going to want to stay with you long term. Like, do you feel like maybe if she made it a little more difficult to be with her, he would have a little more interest? Because, you know, men like to chase things. You know, like they like to chase women, they like to chase their dog or their pet around. They like to chase things. We watch football, they're just chasing a ball around the field. Like, men like to chase things. So I was like, maybe for him, it's just like you're too accessible,
Yeah,
right? You gave up everything too easily.
yeah. I would have to probably agree with that one. You got it on the nose. Like, it's like, oh, this was easy. She ain't gonna
Well,
go nowhere. She gave up everything to come here. I never told her to do that. She did that on her own.
well, yeah, this was all on her. She gave up her midwife school opportunity. She gave up her life. She moved. He didn't even put a ring on it. You know, like for some women, they don't even consider the relationship serious until there's a ring on their finger. You know, like it's like that's how you prove to some women that you're serious about them. You put a ring on their finger. You show that effort that you want that person to be in your life. She's just a girlfriend at this point, which I think is crazy. She moved
Probably
across
not
the
even.
country.
They seem more like roommates than a girlfriend.
Well, yeah, because they would be banging if they were dating. They would be banging. Like if you fly like 30 hours to see someone, they should bang you just as a thank you, right? Like that's just a thank you for your efforts. You know, like for you sitting on the plane for that long, for me, you're getting banged. You know, like that's just a gift. That's just being respectful of the person. So yeah, I think that at this point, I'm really buying into that storyline where this was all an act and they were two friends that thought it would be funny to be on the show.
But
You've seen that online, right?
yeah,
That's
I've
the
seen that
theory.
online. Yeah,
I'm
I
buying
was
into
about to
that.
say.
Honestly, I don't see like a romantic relationship. I don't see chemistry. I don't see connection or bond between them. They just look like two friends that joke around together. Like that's all I see. Like
I
she
honestly
probably.
don't know what type of tell-all we're gonna have if all these couples are not even together. I don't know, but I'm all
Well,
about the new people and all about the drama.
sometimes sometimes when they don't get along or they broke up, it's more fun because they're saying,
Exactly.
they're saying meaner things about each other. So sometimes it's a little more fun. Also, we met Angel tonight, who is Tata's sister, her closest sister. Well, used to be her closest sister. Now she's like a sister that they had to block on social media because she was causing shit online. So apparently, she had told Tata's parents that James was abusive towards women, or he treated women really bad. Something really vile and horrible to lie about, right? Like she made up this story that he treated women in the US really bad. And she admitted when she arrived that she only did it because she wanted to get back at him for stealing her sister from her. Like she knew it wasn't true. She knew that she didn't have a friend in the US. She wasn't being fed any actual facts. She just didn't want the relationship to proceed, which I think is pretty crazy, right? Like to say that you have never met this person and you hate this person and you're lying on this person, and then to come there, and when she was talking in her interview, she was like, I just don't trust him. And I was like, well, the only liar in this situation so far is you. Like you've admitted to being a liar, backstabber, betrayer. You've done all this, and of all people, you're trying to hurt your sister, the person that you say you love. And she's like, I just don't know if he's a good guy. And I'm like, well, he's better than you. Like you've actually went out of your way to destroy your sister's happiness, and you're more worried about him. You know?
Yeah, I think maybe there was some, because Tata's the youngest, right? So she, like, I think there was a little bit of jealousy there possibly with her getting the opportunity to leave the country, go to the United States, make a better life, right? But at the end of the day, like, you're basically, if you backstab your sister, you can backstab your mom, you can backstab your dad. Like, you are not a good person. You are not a good human being.
Well, right.
Like, I would, I would be like, you're dead to me. Thank you. Like,
Well,
you're not coming to this wedding. Like, yeah, I read your tweet about like, if you don't accept the wedding, then don't come.
well,
Like, that's the thing.
well, yeah. Okay, so I do believe that they broke the cardinal rule. When you're getting married, and there's people. I told Takara this too. Like, if you're getting married, don't invite people that don't respect your union to your wedding, because you're just asking for trouble. If these people, or this person in particular, like Angel, doesn't want you in this relationship, then they have no reason to be in the wedding. They shouldn't be there. They shouldn't celebrate something that they don't want.
I'll even.
So the fact that they're inviting her, I think it's a bad idea, because it's just like, why would you bring someone into your good energy and then they're bringing bad negative energy into the vibe? And I just feel like she's definitely somebody who owes them an apology. And the whole time that she was there, I didn't see that. I didn't see an apology. I didn't see any remorse. I didn't see her say, you know what, I was wrong. I didn't know who he was. I shouldn't have made up the. No, I didn't see any of that. I just saw her still being kind of rude, right? She was kind of rude.
Tata's older siblings having a head on their shoulder, and because they basically grew up together and have the same type of personality, probably that's a problem, basically, because they're the two younger ones. They have the same personality, the same mentality, and that's a problem. So, but at the end, I was scratching my head a little bit, and correct me if I'm wrong, but some of Tata's siblings wear the hijab and are fully covered. Well, you have Angel, who's also like, they come from a Muslim family. She's wearing like a crop top.
No, I saw that.
And I'm just like,
And
wait, hold on a second.
I also question, they look a little different,
Well,
because I was like, they're like different complexions and they have different features. Because I was like, do we need to call Mari? Because I was like, this is a little weird. I was like, I'm not saying that they're not siblings, but I was like, we could do a real quick DNA test, right? Just to be sure. Because I was like, does the dad or the mom need to have a conversation with everybody real quick? Because, when you see, because like, for instance, my brother and sister, they're way, way lighter than me. I'm the darker one. My mom's dark. My dad was Creole, so he's like white. So like, I came out dark. My brother and sister came out light. So they told me the whole time when I was younger, they're like, "You're adopted. You don't look like us. You're adopted." And I didn't realize till I got older that I just looked like my mom. Because I was just like, I don't know. She don't look like her sister. So I was like, maybe mom has something that tells them. Like maybe.
features change. My brother used to have blonde hair, blue eyes, and I thought I had a sister. Like, and he's my middle brother, and there are pictures. I'm like, who's that? It looks like a girl, blonde curly hair, green eyes. Now it's just like brown hair. So people's features do change, but Like, I presume, and I could be wrong, like maybe not in Indonesia specifically, but I know with a lot of Muslim cultures, you could have more than one wife.
Oh yeah, that's true. You're right. That's
So
true. That's very true.
could be a different
Well,
baby mama.
yeah. Well, we only met one mom, but maybe that's because that was Tata's mom. That was the only mom we needed to meet
Mm-hmm.
during the filming. That's pretty true too. Because it raised my eyebrows, just like, huh, Angel looks a little different. So maybe that also could be, and with Tata being the youngest, maybe she's a little jealous of how I'm the youngest. So my siblings, they didn't like that I got more than they did. Because as people have more kids and they get older and things get better, your financial situation improves. So my brother and sister, they didn't really like me because I didn't have the same life that they did. Things got better for us. So maybe that could also be an issue with Angel too, being an older child. They may have been part of the struggle, because they didn't always live in that big castle, right? Like they told
Mm-hmm.
us the story of how they worked really hard and they built that business from the ground up. And I think I read somewhere that the dad actually worked for an actual banana chip
Yeah,
company, and
I
then
read the same article as you did.
yeah, yeah, and he got hurt and then left the company, started his own company. So yeah, they didn't always have this big, beautiful castle home in this business. So maybe that could be also part of Angel's anger, because she was a part of the struggle. Because we go through stages in life. There's a lot of struggle in the beginning, and then we seem to come out on top later in life. Maybe Tata came out. That's why she's a little more entitled, right? Like
I
she
don't
feels
see
like,
that much of an age difference between them.
no, you're right. They're probably a few years, 4 or 5 years. But
Yeah.
I mean, who
Yeah.
knows? It could just be an envy of a sibling rivalry,
Mhm.
whoever. But so Sean and JoJo had a FaceTime call with, I think her name was Donna, who is JoJo's mother. And I really needed her to ask the right questions. She didn't ask the right questions. And, I think what really caught me tonight, no matter what people ask JoJo and Sean, they never can produce answers. Have you noticed that? They're like, well, why did you do this? Why didn't you tell anyone? What's your plan? And they always are just looking like deer with the deer in headlights. They never have an answer. And I think that's what's frightening to me, because they're not 17. These are parents with children who are adults who should have a plan. Even if you didn't have a plan, now that you've told your children and you're moving forward, why haven't y'all actually had a conversation and come up with a plan of what you think is the right thing to do moving forward? Because every time they tell another person, everyone has a million questions and they get zero answers. And I think that's what's really scary. As parents, they need to have a plan. They have to have something that they're going to have definite for these kids. Kids need a definite plan, and they're just like, oh, we never thought about it. We don't know what we're going to do. We don't know where we're going to live. We don't know what's going to happen. And it's like, well, when are you going to figure that out? You're married. Like, when are you going to decide what you're going to do with your life?
They act like children and they're going to be treated like children. So basically, probably Joe or hasn't told her mom everything, because if her mom knew, besides the part that they got married, he lives at home with his mom, he doesn't work, he has this, her mom would have a million other questions. Why aren't you working? Why do you still live at home with your mom? Why do you have custody of your daughter? She would ask those questions.
Well, that was my main gripe, because she didn't ask. But you're right, she would have asked. I think if she known. I think that Joe is sheltering. She's kind of like pulling a Brian, from before the 90 days. You only give people enough information to make the situation look good, or to save face in the situation. Like, she knows she can't tell her mom he doesn't work. He lives with his mom. He has no life plan. He has no goals. He's not striving to be a doctor. He's just a face tatted guy that she likes,
Yeah.
right? Like, you can't tell your mom that, like, because your mom's gonna be like, oh, so what is? Well, actually, Donna did ask. She's like, well, what do you bring to the table that my daughter doesn't have here? And I was like, it's
The
not a good
eggplant.
question. Right. It's not a good question for a mom to ask, because at this point, it's just that. He's only bringing that. He's not bringing, like, he doesn't even have a house for her to live in. He doesn't even have his own toilet to piss in. It's just that. It's the eggplant he's bringing. And, the fact that she's stigmatized at her age, it's crazy. I thought that, at a certain age, women grew out of the idea of just wanting that, right? Like, I feel like
She's going through a midlife crisis, and this is her midlife
but
crisis.
she has to know that there's so much more than life than just getting dignitized by a face tatted guy, right? And that's like a vacation thing that you do. You go on vacation, you meet a face tatted guy, you have sex, and you come back home to your family. You don't marry the guy,
No.
right? Like, you don't go over there and marry your fling and then try to implement your fling into your life. I think that was her issue. I get a woman at her age wanting to experience something like that. I totally understand. But yeah, go over there, bang him, and then come back home to your kids. Right? Like, you don't marry the guy. You don't marry the escort. I still call him an escort. I have no proof. I have no proof of that.
We don't have
So,
proof of that.
this is completely alleged. I don't know that he's an escort. I just feel like he's probably an escort because I just don't get it. I mean, I'm not a woman either because I thought.
Making that money, and he wouldn't be living in a home with his mama.
Well, yeah, if he was a good escort, you're right. He would have his own house.
Oh,
So maybe he's not, right?
You've seen all the comments from these women that they're vile. These women won't want him. Like on some of the comments, I'm like, oh my God.
Well, you know what's funny? I was talking on a podcast last night, and a lot of women were saying they feel the same way about Boja from the other way because they were like, "Oh, he's so good looking," and I was like, "Well, he's a liar. He doesn't have a job." And they're like, "Oh, it's okay, and I'm like, "Well, you can't just say a guy's good looking and give him a get out of jail free card for being an unemployed loser, right?" Like, I think a lot of women, you know how they say men think with their penis and not their brain? Sometimes I think women think that way as well because there'll be a complete loser guy, right? Like, complete loser, nothing going from him whatsoever, but his face or his abs or his body will change the whole perspective for women. Women will be like, "Oh no, it's okay." Because I was on the one podcast and the girl said, she's like, "Well, maybe he's good and bad, or, maybe he hasn't found himself yet." And I was like, "And you gonna wait around for that? You're gonna wait around for that? He's almost 40 years old."
His mom can't put up with that BS. What woman's gonna put up with it? The mom wants him out of that house. That bozo guy, she wants him out. So who's to say that he's a catch? Because he clearly ain't a catch.
I think a lot of women consider a catch not how much money you have or what kind of job you have, but sometimes they look at it as what you look like. And
he's not even that great looking. These women need to hop on a plane and go to like other places. Like
you're right. I think a lot of people don't travel enough. Yeah. They don't get out enough because you're right. A lot of times we'll be watching the show and we're just like, so where do you live that this is the best person that you could find? Like that's because that's how I kind of looked at the Boja situation, because I was like, what part of Orlando is she in that this is the best she could do? Like, and same with Sean. It's like, what part of Staten Island is JoJo from that this is the best that she can do? And I'm not saying that Sean isn't good looking, but you have to have other qualities, especially he's a dad. So he not only needs to be taking care of himself, he needs to be taking care of his daughter. And then he went and married this woman. Is he going to take care of her? Like, is he going to accept any responsibility? Because your face tattoos and your abs only can go. Have you ever tried to pay rent or mortgage with a face tattoo and abs? They don't accept it. They won't take it. Like, no. Have you ever tried to buy a car? You just walk up to the car dealership and be like, this is my face. What can I get? They'll be like, get the hell out of here. Like, we accept money, and I think a lot of times women are just like, oh, I can fix this person. They're good looking. I can fix this. This isn't that serious. This is something that I can work on, and I don't think you can.
No, there's no turning back with that.
Well, they're married, and the best thing that they should do is get divorced and move on, because they've been married for 2 years. He had 2 years to get his own place, get a job, and show, because like, say for instance, Joey and her other son went over there and they liked him. They liked Ireland, and it was Ireland, right? He's in Ireland.
Yeah.
They liked Ireland and they wanted to move there. He's not ready. There's nowhere for them to go. So he had 2 years to prepare a place, for him, his daughter, her kids. And so in case when the meeting did take place, they had somewhere to go. He didn't even get ready for that. Like, they're still, because even if things worked out, where are they going to live?
Well, Joey ain't even talking to his mom. So
Well, that says a lot. Yeah, he's not even talking to her, and I don't blame him.
I
You
don't
know,
either.
his mom
I'm,
is acting like a 17-year-old girl who has a crush on the boy at school, and she's basically abandoning everybody. You know how you have that one friend? I had a friend in school, and we were best friends, and then they started dating someone, and then ignored everybody. Like nobody else mattered, and while they were dating this person, and then all of a sudden, when their relationship fell apart, they wanted to come back in our clique, and we're like, no, we're good,
no,
we're good. You remember when we didn't exist?
yeah,
For you and your girl, like you can go back and talk to her. Like we're good. You dogged us, and I kind of feel like that's kind of how Joey feels. He's like, no, I don't need to talk to you. I wasn't a part of your decision when you decided to marry a face tatted guy from Ireland and not tell anybody. Right? Like that is completely on you.
exactly.
Oh, so Vivian was asking some questions and she was prying Lily for information, and we found out that her and Josh haven't had sex in 7 months, and they're supposed to be getting married. So a lot of people on X are saying that they have questions about Josh, because they're like, well, what's going on with Josh? Do you think he really wants to be with her? Do you think he's actually trying to, be with her for the money? Because we learned recently that Vivian is a high paid actress in China, and she's the one that purchased that house.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why she's so involved in who lives in the house, because it's her house. And I mean, even if she bought the house and put it in her mom's name, it's still, she bought it. So she's a little more worried about who is this man living in this house who is not going to work, or who's not going to do anything. Who doesn't actually care about my mom. And, I'm beginning to wonder too, what is Josh's intentions? Like because, he got there and he was like, oh, there's a time difference and I was sick. I think he said he had COVID when he first got there. There's all these excuses. And I don't know. I feel like if you really wanted to make it happen, you would.
Mhm.
I just feel like, it's weird that you would move across the world for someone, but you don't even want to be intimate with them. That's a weird situation for me.
I think, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I think it's that the power trip role, right? And I've always said that, right? Maybe like, okay, he can't support her. He brings nothing to the table,
But
right? Like he
well,
can't work
eggplant,
right now.
eggplant.
Yeah, besides an eggplant. But but then the thing is, if she belittles him, and there could be that language communication, the best thing that this couple has together is their communication with each other. When they get into arguments or disagreements, they actually talk about it versus
Yeah.
other couples. But in this case, I think when she belittles him, saying stuff about money, I'm always paying for everything, what person wants to hear that? Especially a person that you're in a relationship with. You don't want to hear that negativity because it's just going to blow down your self-esteem and you're not going to want to be with that person, right? So I don't know. I think they need to actually see a sex therapist, and maybe that will
That,
flourish the
that's true.
relationship.
This isn't the first time we saw this situation. Jasmine and Gina were in this exact same situation. He will not have sex with Jasmine, or at the time he wouldn't. And it was exactly what you said. It was demeaning. Her saying, she literally said on national TV that he was bad in bed and her ex was better than him. So, men have performance anxiety, and when they constantly hear that their performance is less than par, it's difficult to perform. Like if you were a singer and every time you were about to go on stage, someone backstage was like, go out there and sing even though you can't. Eventually that gets into your head. It bothers you. You start to believe things that aren't true
Well, it didn't
because you.
bother Millie Vanilli, so you know.
I mean, no, it didn't. It didn't. The ironic part about that is the voices that they were using for them weren't even that good. They should have just used their own voices. Like, that was my whole gripe. Because I was like, the voices they were using weren't even, like, amazing. So they could have just used their own voices anyway. Right? I don't understand that whole situation. And then I also saw a video off topic. They could sing,
Yeah.
which made it even more weird. Why didn't they just let them sing? Like, what the hell is going on in this world?
Uh,
Okay, so hold on, there's something else we have to
But
talk about.
I did want to quickly bring up the fact that the daughter felt so comfortable talking to the mom about, I like, my mom would like punch me in the face. That's too much detail. I don't need to know when the last time you had eggplant was. I really don't need to know that.
Well,
But I think the relationship is more than mother-daughter. I think they're like best friends, basically. And that's great to have, but you need to set boundaries as well at the same time.
I think because okay, so I had a really good friend. She said growing up with her mom was really difficult. Her mom was super super strict. We actually grew up in the same cult religion or whatever, just in different parts of the country. And she said, but as she became an adult, her and her mom were like best friends, close as ever, because I think parents are really hard on their kids. They want them to be successful. They want them to turn out a certain way. But then I think with daughters and moms, especially, once the daughter becomes like a woman and she gets married and she has kids, I feel like the mother is so much more open with the daughter. Like with fathers, you don't really hear fathers and sons talking like that, right? Like you'll never really see that bond. You don't have the show I'm a daddy's boy and it's son and their dad rubbing each other's feet, right? You're never going to see that. But I think when it comes to women, especially when their daughters become grown and, they're making their own decisions and they're living their life, it becomes like a friendship, it's
Mm-hmm.
because even with my mom was super strict, but like now that I'm grown and we have conversations, more of a friendship. I'm not like scared of her, because like growing up, I was more so scared of her than anything. But like now, it's like a friendship. It's just a different type of relationship. But no, you're not wrong. I'm not. We're not talking about sex or anything like. We're not doing that. It's never gonna happen. And I think, her daughter asking that question, it was weird, because I was like, oh, y'all are
Like
in
a virgin again, like because she hasn't gotten any. I was just like, oh my god, this is not happening.
y'all are in a very close situation, a good place to have that conversation, but I think that her daughter is more invested because the life that Lily has, like Lily has her own like spa and she sells her wellness products. I'm pretty sure Vivian financed that.
Mm-hmm.
She's a big name actress. They posted a picture of the INMD. She's
Yeah,
got like major blockbuster movies, like
yeah,
not one or two, like
yeah.
five, I think. So
I've seen
I think
them.
that she's just
And
really,
some shows too, I think.
yeah, she's like a big deal. It's not like she did a extra in a movie. Like she stars in movies. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that she's interested in what's going on with her mom because you know how we have big families or big name families. Like at first, Kim was the big name, right? And then everybody else was beneath her. Like now they're all equal. But I think now in this situation, Vivian is Kim, and everyone else hasn't gained their stripes yet. So Vivian is kind of micromanaging everybody below her. And her mom happens to be one of those people. And she's just like, well, I don't approve of this guy, so you shouldn't be with him. And she feels since she funds the family, if you can buy your family a 5-story house, you're in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like if somebody bought me a 5-story house, they are in charge of me. They're gonna tell me what I can and can't do. So I think that that's kind of where Vivian is. She's just like, no, he doesn't love you. He's using you. He's trying to get into the family money. And she might actually be right. Because keep in mind, we didn't know about the family money when we met him on the show.
No.
We had no idea that it was this. We thought that Lily was successful. We didn't
Yeah.
know that these people are
We were like
millionaires.
to believe it, like the money
Right.
from her own success, and then as things started to unravel, then we realized, oh, maybe the money came from family wealth, maybe it came from the daughter. So there's different orange peels that are peeling right now.
Yeah, I think that we're learning a lot more about the dynamic. And it could be Josh is like he saw a really good opportunity, right? Like I don't know. Like I believed at first that he just really loved her, but now that I know that we're talking millions and millions of dollars and he's got it made, like living in a house with 5 floors and an elevator, I might consider it too. Right, like just I might consider that too. So if that opportunity fell into my lap, there's a possibility
I
I
don't
might.
know who wouldn't take that opportunity, to be
I
honest.
mean, I would love to have a house that has more floors than the last hotel I stayed in. Like, I don't have any issue with it. And if the only thing you have to do is bang your wife, that is not asking a lot,
No,
right? That's not asking a lot. That's almost like asking for nothing because you should be doing that anyway. So it's like it's basically like you're not even asking for anything. You should be doing that anyway. So if somebody
exactly.
wants to,
Suck it up, princess. Get her done so you can stay in that house.
well, yeah, if somebody wants to move me out, wherever you are and you have a 5-story house, my DMs are open. Let me know when I should leave. I can back now. Just let me know. So
And don't forget
also
to
I
get
want
the
to get
first
in.
flight.
Yeah,
George
yeah,
needs you.
book me a flight, first class, please.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to talk about the Mama's Boy episode because Josh, Janelle, and Tina and the kids went to Tampa to see their new house, which was it was beautiful on the outside. It was like gutted on the inside, but when you are remodeling, there's not much to look at. But the issue is it doesn't have enough rooms for Tina, and Tina feels that they need to
Oh,
build.
that's too bad. No room for you.
Well, she's like, well, you should build an in-law suite for me, which would cost. Okay, so they're already $100,000 into their renovation, right? So, an in-law suite would cost about another $40,000 to $50,000. And also keep in mind their backyard has a big ass pool and then like a deck, so they would be cutting into their recreational area to do
No, that's just going to diminish the value of the home if they
right. Because
resell it.
who fills in a pool to add an in-law suite? This is Florida. People want the pool, right? You don't fill in a pool to add an in-law suite. You don't because they're adding a tiki bar. You don't knock the tiki bar down to put it in. This is Florida. This is what people do. They entertain in their yard. So they're adding value, like you said, to the home. And she's like, well, where am I gonna go? And Janelle's like, take your ass back to New England. Like that's where you
You
gotta go.
can
That's
sleep on the couch when you visit once a year. You can sleep on the couch or there's an air mattress. We ain't doing this. No, no.
well, isn't that really big house that they all live in? Isn't that hers? Because I remember in the beginning, Janelle said that they all moved in with her. So that really massive house, like she has all that space. That would be exciting. The idea that I have a full house and then I would have the house to myself, I would be excited. If everybody wants to move out, I wouldn't have an objection. But I think that she has like that fear of empty nest syndrome. Some people, it's because she's a single parent. Her husband passed away, I believe. So I think that
She's a single mom, yes, but her kids are grown up. There's
they're
not
very
much
grown.
mothering to
No,
do. You can
there's
take
no
care,
mothering at all.
you
There's
can
no
take care of the
mothering at all. They're very
grandkids,
grown.
but there's
They're
no mothering to do anymore.
her kids got kids. So the mothering, like she could be a good grandma, but again, grandmas don't need to live with you.
No.
Be a good grandma. I went to stay with my grandma every summer for 6 weeks, in Mississippi at her place. So my mom got a 6 week break every summer, and my grandmother spoiled me. Oh my god, I had bedtime snacks. I got to watch Batman at 10 o'clock at night, which was completely unallowed in my household because we were in a cult. So I had like the best life, right? It was like the best world of. So every time I would go to Mississippi, it was amazing. I had the best grandmother in the world. She never lived with me a day in her life. Doesn't change the fact that she was the best grandmother I ever had.
Exactly.
So I think that she definitely, I mean, and if she does want to be close, sell that big ass house in New England and buy a house somewhere in Tampa near them and drive over there.
Exactly.
Like that's not asking a lot, right? You can still see them.
You need to set the boundaries and have the house at least 30 minutes away. So she doesn't just pop on in, and don't make a key for her.
Oh, meaning like Kelly building the house right in their backyard.
Yeah, no.
So she can hide in the bushes and look in the window. So speaking of Kelly, Matt and Kelly are going into business together. Well, she thinks they're going into business together. Matt actually might be getting cold feet, and they're both going to be real estate agents. They're going to go into a brokerage together, and Matt is actually getting cold feet. He thinks maybe this is not the direction you would go when you want to set boundaries. Because once you start mixing business with the relationship, there's not really going to be any boundaries because they already live together. Basically, they're going to be, well, before this job they also worked together. I think it was in like a call center. Mm-hmm. So they already were spending that much time together. But once you start signing your name on business contracts, you're kind of linked for life, and the only one who can get you out of that is a court, right? Like on a court, like once you sign and you go into business together, you're kind of stuck with each other. And if he really wants to break the cycle He's gonna have to not go into business with her, and he's got to move out of her driveway, right? Like, there's no way. Imagine bringing a girl home that you really like, and you have to get her past your mom because she's so nosy. She's gonna want to know what you're doing. Like, this is why there's no grandkids, because Matt has no chance of getting a woman past his mom to his bedroom. There's no chance.
She
There's
ain't
just
allowing
never.
it. She ain't allowing it. There is a phrase that we use in Portuguese. You got your friends and your friends, and then you have contracts and contracts. You don't mix the two together.
Yeah,
You never
and I
mix
think
business and pleasure. You never mix family and business. Like, you never involve different families, like families, units, and businesses. You don't mix it because it just ends up being disaster.
yeah. Well, that's kind of how you lose family sometimes.
Exactly.
The deal goes wrong. Also, we got a revelation tonight from Nyla, Shahid's girlfriend. So she did admit. Okay, so Dia, I don't like to side with her much, but she was like, "Oh, she's a gold digger. She's gonna use my son." So Shahid had that conversation with her at the winery, and she admitted that she wants to be a stay-at-home girlfriend or wife and not work, not pay
Mhm.
anything, not do anything. So I get that this dynamic works for some people. It's an old-fashioned dynamic, but in some situations, still to this day, it does work for people. Like, a man will go out and work, the wife will have the kids in the house, and they work. But I do think a healthy relationship, it builds less stress when it's not all piled onto one person. Because, say
Mhm.
for instance, all the bills are on you, it's everything is on you, and then you get sick. And now what? Now you're both in a bad situation. Nobody has anyone to count on. So I do think that being in a relationship with two incomes is smart. And I think that it's gonna be hard to spoil a woman when, because let's be honest, he doesn't have any money. Because we watched today his mom lock his debit card while he was at the winery, and I think that that's out of bounds. He does have a job, and I get that he lives in his mom's house. I get it. So she feels that she can control spending to some extent. But I feel like locking the card, because say for instance, because Nyla didn't have her wallet with her. So say for instance, she was being petty and she didn't answer the phone when he called, and they had already eaten the food.
That's
So
what I thought
say,
was going to happen.
right?
Like she wasn't going to pick up the phone call. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to have to do dishes.
I don't,
Like,
well, I don't think they do dishes anymore. I think they call the cops. Like, I don't even
I don't
think you
know.
can do dishes anymore. At least here, like, no, they call the cops. So I was like, I think that Dia, she wants him to save money. But she said something tonight that was really interesting to me, because she was like, well, you choose to spend time with her over me, and I don't like that. And I was like, so do you not like Nyla, or do you not like that he spends time with her and not you? Because I think there's a big difference between those two. If he can't spend all of his time with his mom if he wants to eventually have a healthy marriage or relationship. But if his mom is jealous of his girlfriend, because she made it seem like she hated her because she was a gold digger and she was no good for him. I do see that he's expected to pay for a lot, and she does work. She said in the one episode that she was a teacher, and before that she was a bottle service girl.
Mhm.
She works, she has her own money, she just doesn't want to use any of it in the relationship. And I know when you're first dating, it's very customary. I would never go on a date in the very beginning and ask a girl to pay. I'm gonna pay for everything in the beginning, but like once you become serious, I do think that it's okay to share things. Like, if we go out on a Tuesday, I'll pay. We go out on a Friday, you pay. Like, it goes back and forth. And I don't think that that's ever going to be a thing for her. I think that she's a princess and she wants to be treated like a princess. And I don't know how that will work for a guy who doesn't have very much money.
What he should be doing with that money that his mom allows him, like on a weekly or daily allowance, I don't know if it's a weekly or daily allowance, he should open another account in his name and be shoving that money in that, so then he has a nice, like, little cushion there. But at
Yeah,
the end of the day, he's telling his mom everything bad about her. He's not telling her the good stuff, like when they
that's
talk.
true.
That's the thing. So obviously, she's going to look at her like in a negative point of view. because he's omitting maybe the good stuff that she does for him or whatnot. So
Yeah.
obviously his mom's gonna have like a bad taste in her mouth with her.
Yeah, I always tell people never confide in someone that is close to your relationship. Okay, so I remember I had a close friend. They were married. They're not married anymore, thank God. But the person was cheating on them, and then like had a woman in their house while she was at work and all this. And they were not getting along. And then Thanksgiving comes around, and we're all invited to a place, and they're there together. So everyone at the table is looking at this guy like, I can't believe this guy's here. We all hate you. Because she
Mm-hmm.
kept telling us all of the issues going on in their relationship. So we all hate this guy that we don't even know. Like, we all hate this guy because of what she told us, but that she worked it out with him. Well,
Mm-hmm.
they eventually got divorced, but at that time she had worked it out with them. They're back together, they're living together, they're not talking about the cheating and the woman in the house. And we're all sitting at the table like, are you serious? Is he really here? And that's kind of like what she's doing, or what he's doing with his mom. Hey, Diva Speaks. He's
Hey.
telling her all of the issues that they have, and then when they talk about it and move forward, Dia doesn't. Dia remembers it, and she's taking score and keeping count and remembering that, oh, this girl did this to my son. She lied to him. She yelled at him. She did this. She made him feel bad. So now we're looking at all of the negative things that she's ever done.
Yeah. She's pretty petty.
I mean, petty, I get it. I'm a very petty
Oh,
person too,
I
right?
am too. That's why I think I get along with her.
Well,
I'm very petty.
yeah. I think that we would get along. But my thing was though, like when she's with Jerome, her and Jerome have been together for 8 years. So I guarantee you, when she goes out on a date with Jerome, Jerome doesn't expect her to pay, because he was like, Mom, I need the money because we're going out on a date. And he was like, she's like, is she gonna pay? It's like, Jerome wouldn't expect you to
Yeah,
pay.
yeah,
So it's
exactly.
very petty, because it's like, if you were out with him and his mom locked his card and he's like, you would be really upset. But since it's someone else, it's okay for you to do this, but it's not okay because this is your son. You're hurting your son in the process. And it's like, you can hate someone, but when your hate transfers to your own flesh and blood, that's a level of petty you need to rise above. Like, that's embarrassing. Can you imagine? He's in this expensive winery. This is where people take their wives for a 50th anniversary. This is not a place where you just go and order a $2 drink, and his card's declined in front of everybody, and his mother did that. Like, you imagine your mom is out there humiliating you in public? Like, I would be so angry.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, we're gonna wrap for tonight. We're gonna come back tomorrow. Not tomorrow, probably Wednesday, because A Thousand Pound Sisters comes on. So we're gonna cover some of that, because there's like a lot of inner family issues and turmoil going on that I want to talk about. And I think one of the sisters is like moving out of Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. She's in Florida now, which I was a little surprised about. So there's like all this drama. So we're gonna
Everyone's coming to Florida. Everybody's going to
I
Florida.
know at some point Florida is gonna be full, guys. Like, I don't know where anybody's gonna go. Like, um, Josh and Janelle and Tina and everyone's coming here, and I'm like, I don't know where everybody's gonna go, because they're like building houses and building houses, and eventually the alligators aren't gonna have anywhere to live because there's gonna be houses everywhere. They're gonna just start coming in your house, right? Because we have to have somewhere for the alligators to go, and eventually they're just gonna be in your pool because there's
Well,
nowhere for them to go. All right, so
yeah, well,
we'll be back on Wednesday for A Thousand Pound Sisters. Make sure you're following my co-host, Gina. She's tagged in this video. Actually, in 2 weeks, Dee Dee will be back. So I'm really excited for that. She set a date, so we're gonna have Dee Dee back, and we're gonna talk about something that she was working on, that I'm really proud of her for. So when she gets back, we're gonna tell you guys.
I saw the
Yes.
story.
So we're gonna tell you, everybody, what she was working on, and give you links to how you can watch it. And I'm so proud of her. All right,
I
so
am
make
so
sure you're
happy
following.
for her too.
I know, I'm like, Dee Dee, I'm so happy for you. So
Yeah.
make sure you're following Gina. I'm tagging her in this video. Make sure you're following all social media platforms. George Mossey, georgemossey.com. Anywhere to get your podcast or stream music, type in the George Mossey Show. It will come up there. Thank you guys for joining us. Everybody have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Have a good
Bye.
night. Bye.